welcome to All Steelers Talk, your home for everything Pittsburgh Steelers, presented by allsteelers.com.
What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk live from St. Vincent College. Check us out on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk and check out the All Steelers Talk Audible collection anywhere you get your podcasts. Today, we're talking about something that we've talked about a million times, and a million times we were right, and I'm very excited to brag about it today. Diontae Johnson's got a new deal. We'll dive into every single bit of it and what it means for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But first, Donnie, it's raining all day. It was 1,000,000 degrees. I'm in long sleeves because I'm all sunburned, so you got to block out the sun. That's nothing for you. There's a chance I get kicked out of Mike Tomlin's press conference area, but that's okay. We'll handle that as it comes. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling great. Little trick on the long sleeves, though, because a lot of landscapers out here do wear long sleeves, even like the heat of the summer. It seems almost counterintuitive, right? Until you talk to them and they say the long sleeves like keeps the suns off of the sun. Excuse me, not the Phoenix Suns. Keeps the sun off of their like skin. And sure, you'll sweat maybe a little bit more, but like you obviously won't get sunburned. And overall, your like body temperature probably shouldn't be as high as you would be wearing like not honestly short sleeve or it's just even like a tank top. Looking like I'm going to go 2 for 2 on off-season predictions. You asked me a couple of weeks ago, flat out, if I thought Deontay was going to get paid before the end of the preseason. I said yes. I also believed Mason Rudolph would still be on the roster by end of training camp, end of preseason. That's also looking pretty good right now.
Yeah. I think I'm skeptical about the Mason Rudolph thing. I think the better Mason plays, the more he's shipping himself out of Pittsburgh. Because if he's worth something and teams are calling, why would you not deal him? I think that the assumption everybody had, maybe yourself, maybe I'm wrong about this, but was your assumption he wasn't going to be good enough to get anything, but he was going to be good enough to stay on the roster?
No, I just thought with the Steelers wanting to probably keep 3 quarterbacks, it just really didn't make any sense. And whenever Dwayne Haskins was still on the team, that was pretty much the only argument is, would you rather have Mason or Dwayne? And with Dwayne's passing, that kind of pretty much, at least in my eyes, assured that he was going to be on the roster moving forward, at least for one more season. But I think the scenario you brought up was almost ideal, I guess. I mean, if he plays well enough for another team to want to go grab him, I think the Steelers would be fine with a Trubisky-Pickett tandem.
Oh, yeah. I don't see why, especially if they could clear $3 million in cap space and get a draft pick, even if it's 6th or 7th round. Can't complain about that one. But the quarterback battle is dying down, which means that it's time for us to once again wait it out. That's what I've learned today. Today, I learned at camp that things are moving at a steady pace. So for the first time in a week and a half, we now have to be patient and understand, okay, this is the area of training camp where we've seen what we can see. It is now time to wait until the preseason. We have a week. There'll be a lot to learn, but I'm excited for it because this is the last break. This is the last time we'll be able to say, okay, we need to calm down before we make assumptions on these guys. And then, breathe in, breathe out. And then next week we'll know, okay, this is real. This isn't real. And I think that's how we take it. In the meantime, Diontae Johnson inked himself to a new contract deal, 2 years, a little surprising maybe, $36.71, I believe, million, $27 million guaranteed. It made him the 17th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. He is ahead of Michael Thomas and right below Christian Kirk. What are your thoughts on that deal there, Donnie?
Yeah, let me put this up for you really quick. Shout out to Ari Mayrov, however you say his name, at My Sports Update on Twitter. I think you met him at the Combine, right?
I did. Good guy.
Yeah. Seemed like a super nice guy. He tweeted out 6 wide receivers taken outside the first round of 2019 who have gotten paid this offseason. Okay, peep this. A.J. Brown, 4-year, $100 million. Yeah. DK Metcalf, 3-year, $72 million. Deebo Samuel, 3-year, $71.5 million. Terry McLaurin, who has very identical numbers to Deontay, like we've talked about already.
And is a year older.
3-year, $71 million. Diontae Johnson, 2-year, $36.7 million, and Hunter Renfrow, 2 years, $32 million.
Yep.
I think this is a win-win. I think this is a win-win for both sides. Let me tell you why. Deontay wanted paid. Not anything crazy out of the question. Deontay, also probably wanted $20 million a year as kind of like a benchmark. I don't think that's a secret. I don't think there's a reason why he would not want around that $20 million per year. But he still got his money, $18.35 million, nothing to shake a stick at. But that also leaves open the possibility for him to also cash in on another contract, because whenever his deal is supposed to be up, he's supposed to be free agent after the 2024 season, he's going to be 29 years old. He won't even be 30 yet.
Yep.
So
that's a whole other
the
deal.
Steelers get him. The Steelers get him that money. Still in the upper echelon of paid wide receivers. He still gets his bag, but they don't have to commit to him long term either. It's only a 2-year extension. Like I said, after the 2024 season. Interesting enough, Chase Claypool's set to hit free agency after 2023. So just a 1-year barrier between Claypool and now Deontay's extension. I think that buys the Steelers a little bit more time to really evaluate Deontay and see if they want to bring him on long term. But at the end of the day, a contract extension is a contract extension. 2 years, 4, 5, doesn't matter. They got a deal done. I think Deontay said he wanted to retire a Pittsburgh Steeler whenever he spoke to you guys today. So I think it's a win-win for both sides. Nobody really gave up anything too drastic. I think Deontay's price point is just chef's kiss. Shout out to Omar Khan for just doing nothing but handling business since day number 1 whenever he stepped into office.
Yeah, Omar Khan is out here just killing the game. It is insane what he's doing. And he's doing it for both sides. Minkah deserved a record-breaking deal, so he got it done in time to give him the record-breaking deal without killing themselves because 2 other guys got paid before him, and now they're reaching into their pockets deeper than they wanted to do. Perfect. Chris Boswell deserved to be the highest paid kicker in the NFL, even if he's not. Like Justin Tucker is going to be the highest paid kicker in the NFL next offseason when he's up for another contract. But this season, Chris Boswell will tie him, and that's a great margin for both sides. For the Pittsburgh Steelers to say, hey, we value you like the number one kicker in the NFL, and for Chris Boswell to say, this is a great payday for me. This is exactly what I was looking for. Great move by Omar Khan. And then to come back here. And I think Deontay deserved more money. I do. But what I'm okay with in this entire thing is the Pittsburgh Steelers got a team-friendly 2-year deal. Nothing too crazy. It was exactly what they needed to keep themselves relevant cap-wise for the next couple of years, open the door for a possible Chase Claypool extension, which would certainly help a lot of people ease their way into this deal, and it doesn't clog anything long-term. Love that for the Pittsburgh Steelers. On top of that, $27 million is exactly what Deontay should be looking for in guaranteed money. You look at a lot of these deals and it's like, oh yeah, 4 years, $100 million. Is it really a 4-year, $100 million deal, or is it a 2-year, $40 million deal? And then you better hope that those next 2 years you play just as well, because that's what a lot of these mega contracts are when you dig into them. Deontay's is as flat and as up to the surface as it gets. $27 million guaranteed, an opportunity to make $36 million over the next 2 years, plus the $3 million he'll have this year. I think it's a perfect deal. And on top of that, financials is awesome. What I liked more is that Deontay sat right in this room, right where I am right now, actually. He sat in this exact chair and said that no matter what, he was happy with this deal, that he believed that this was the number that he wanted. He said that the Steelers were firm, that they gave him an offer, they stuck to it. He said that he prayed on it and that this is what he came up with. And he said the whole thing with a giant smile on his face. Like, he was so excited that he just guaranteed himself $27 million. I mean, you get a lot of guys that would be like, oh yeah, I guaranteed myself $27 million, but I wanted $50 million. Deontay was like, yeah, man, I just guaranteed myself $27 million and I get to go play football again. This is amazing. I think that that speaks volumes.
No, for sure. He went to stay with the Pittsburgh Steelers,
Yeah.
for the long term. And after watching guys like Antonio Brown and how they handled their contract, after watching guys like Le'Veon Bell and how he handled his contract, it's just super awesome to see. Like a guy who obviously took a less than market value on what he probably could have got whenever you look around the league. But like for him to be happy with just like what he got, it's a really good feeling for Steeler fans everywhere. It's a really good feeling for Deontay, and I think it's a really good feeling for the Steelers front office, who now, let's say Chase Claypool doesn't step up and doesn't really meet their standards here in the next couple of years before he hits free agency. Now you know for sure that you really do want to get Deontay that third contract whenever he's up after 2024.
I think that is the best part of this is Chase Claypool was the argument the entire time. We sat here time and time and time again trying to justify that it is okay for the Pittsburgh Steelers to think, oh, well, what if Chase Claypool becomes a superstar, which is a huge what if, like a humongous what if. And honestly, like, yeah, I get it. He's 6'3", 6'4", 235 pounds, and he runs a 4.3. You could replace Chase Claypool way easier than you could replace Diontae Johnson for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Way easier. Calvin Austin replaces Chase Claypool. Maybe not this season because he's a rookie, but moving forward. Now, this deal allows you to keep that hope. The hope that Chase Claypool becomes a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, and then you could pay him like a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL because you don't have a quarterback contract to worry about. You already just secured your major contracts this offseason. You're done for the next couple of years outside of Cam Hayward, but his next deal is definitely going to be team friendly. You have enough space moving forward to say, okay, well, if Chase turns into a superstar, we could sign him as well, which, at that point you got to start talking about George Pickens and so on and so forth. But the every bit of this is perfect for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Deontay is worth more money, but if he's happy with it, I'm fine. Like I'm not upset about the deal whatsoever. I think it worked out beautifully for both sides. On the other side of that coin, good day for the Pittsburgh Steelers, bad day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cornerback Cam Sutton went down with a knee injury. Mike Tomlin identified it as a lower body injury. I know from sources that it is a knee injury. He's being evaluated for it. He actually had to leave practice and be carted up to the locker room where they evaluated him. Haven't heard anything since. It's never a good sign when you have to leave and people are already talking about it before any news comes out. Like Pat Freiermuth, Chase Claypool, those slid under the table because it was nothing serious. Cam Sutton, the fact that people are discussing this is worrisome. It stinks for Cam because we both like Cam. He's a great guy. How bad is it for the Steelers defense?
I was always of the opinion that whenever Levi Wallace was signed, that him and Witherspoon were definitely going to anchor the outside. So I was more so concerned, not necessarily concerned, but like at least in my head. And I know this doesn't match what you think or what's actually been happening at training camp. I always envisioned Cam fitting in the slot and kind of roaming around. Like the Steelers really like to see him bounce around the defensive secondary. That's kind of taken away now. And any flexibility the Steelers would have wanted, whether it's inside or outside, with Cam Sutton out of the picture for Lord knows how long. I couldn't even tell you what this does. Arthur Millette, I hope he's ready. I hope any of the other guys in the defensive backfield, like depth-wise, are ready. If this is a really serious injury, and I don't want to speculate at all, but I know absolutely nothing about what this looks like. And the injury is never good. Being carted off is never good. Steelers have 3 games to find somebody. 3 games to find somebody who can step up. And I want to let you talk before this, but you know who's a free agent right now? Joe Hayden.
Joe Hayden is a free agent. Joe Hayden, look, the problem with Joe Hayden, and that is a good name to bring up here, but the problem with Joe Hayden is he's an outside guy. I will say James Pierre got an opportunity to step into the starting role today, and he didn't look bad. He definitely stepped up in a big way. That does not make me feel good, but it's some security to say, well, okay, if Cam's out long-term, Levi Wallace could start because he's a proven starter in the NFL, and then James Pierre might be the backup. Not great, but if he took a
just
step
want to be
forward,
really
maybe.
clear. I'm definitely kidding about Joe Hayden.
I know, I understand, but it is a good name because people are going to bring him up. People are going to bring Joe Hayden up. And the problem with Joe Hayden is that Cam wasn't going to play the slot this year. Like, he might have moved in. He'd definitely still be that versatile piece, but so far it's been all outside, and he's looked good on the outside. He looked really impressive. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I couldn't tell you. It had to be 2 days ago. They threw 6 passes, 3 of them. The first 6 passes, 3 of them were batted away from Cam Sutton. The 6th pass was nearly picked off by him. Like, he's making plays out here on the outside. He looks like he's adjusting finally, like taking that next step. I think it does exactly what you said, though. It takes away the versatility of the defense. You can no longer have those chess pieces because Cam Sutton could play on the outside, but say Arthur Millett's not doing his job on the inside. Cam's a guy that you can move inside. Now you don't have those options. You're going to hope that Trey Norwood could play the nickel, but really he only practices at corner. Deontay KZ's only practicing at safety, or Trey Norwood safety, Deontay KZ safety. You're going to hope that you could find that next slot guy, and I don't think the Steelers have that next slot guy right now. I think that they're just hoping. They were looking at it like Levi Wallace was our next outside guy, and Cam was able to move inside. So it hurts them. It definitely hurts them. And I think it takes away a huge chunk of this, especially because, Levi Wallace has yet to practice. We have yet to see him practice because of his illness. And I don't know what that illness is. I'm starting to get a little skeptical about the illness as a whole, but I think it puts this defense in a very bad place at a very, very bad time.
So pretty much what I'm hearing is James Pierre might have the best opportunity within the organization to step up if needed. Do you think they would, worst case scenario, Sutton's out for long term? Do you think they would try to go outside and get another body?
I think maybe. I think maybe. I wouldn't say no. I would say I was on the no heading into training camp. Everybody was talking about, oh, well, they need a true CB1. They got to go make a splash at corner. They need more options. I was fully convinced that wasn't going to happen. Now, you're not going to rely on Justin Lane. That's not going to happen. You're going to try really hard not to rely on James Pierre. Your only other option is Chris Steele. Undrafted guy out of USC. That's not somebody you really want working on the outside either, especially in the AFC North. So I would say maybe you could go out and sign somebody. At that point, maybe you're talking to Joe Hayden, but I think Joe Hayden's worth more than what the Pittsburgh Steelers would pay for him.
Yeah, I think Joe Hayden's kind of playing the waiting game and trying to see if injuries amount during training camp or preseason and try to sign somewhere. Either that or I think he wants to go play for a contender.
Yeah, he does. And the Steelers, should be considered, in that bracket, I guess. Not as much so as other teams, but if you're going to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season, you're not thinking, oh man, it's a bad team to play for. Like, they have an opportunity, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I could see him. He's going to price himself out of Pittsburgh. Like, there's no way Pittsburgh could afford or wants to afford Joe Hayden, even if he is 33 years old and probably can't play to the level that, you'd want him to play. He's going to be asking for more money, which is fine. Joe Hayden's a money man. Let him do his thing. I'm all about it. I do think that leaves the door open. Just to touch on some other questions here. How's the running game and the pass game going to look so far? I will say this. I did want to touch on something, and I'm glad that got brought up. I was hoping somebody did bring it up. We've jumped around so much on this podcast, but I stayed true with the Jaylen Warren thing, and so did you on the overreactions last night. It is too early to tell if Jaylen Warren is a guy that will make this team. And today was a perfect example of that. Literally less than 24 hours after we talked about it. Anthony McFarland balled out today. Balled out. The dude was in every play. He was working with the ones. He, he has set plays designed for him, which I think is just so under talked about. Like you don't keep plays for a third string running back if you're looking to replace that third string running back. If you think that third string running back has potential, you will create plays for him. And that's what we saw out of McFarland today. He had a couple of really nice plays, a couple of really nice catches. I personally think that this is the year that he could be a name to watch. Again, preseason tells us everything, but he, like the Jaylen Warren talk, maybe a little premature because Anthony McFarland's saying, hey, I hear it. Let's stop talking about it.
Yeah, and I think it's so easy to kind of get caught up on a day-to-day basis whenever you talk about training camp, because like this is the first taste of Steelers football we've gotten in what's felt like 1,000 years, but it's really only been a few months. I always like to look at the training camp and preseason as like the Kentucky Derby, for example. Somebody will do good heading to the first turn. They'll be overtaken heading into the second turn. Somebody else will emerge during the third turn. But then you have the final stretch. You have that big final stretch there at the Kentucky Derby. And then that's when you really start to see people kind of elevate themselves or do the complete opposite. For me, that's like the second and third preseason game that it used to be before, but then they got rid of it. So I really try my hardest not to overreact to practices without pads, 7-on-7, where like, those guys aren't trying to go 100%, kill their teammates, do whatever they got to do to get a roster spot. Yep. Whenever they go up against another team where they know legitimate film is going to be poured on them, not just by the Steelers, but by other teams in case they hit the waiver wire, then I'll put a little bit more stock into that.
Yep, I agree. That's what it comes down to. Last year was the same story. Anthony McFarland looked so good during training camp that the hype was real. And then preseason came and he didn't do anything. And that could certainly happen again this offseason. Like that could definitely happen in the fall. I think it could also happen with Jaylen Warren. I think it could also happen with Benny Snell. How about they ran a pitch to Benny Snell today? I've made this promise a dozen times that I'm going to be nicer about the players I talk about, but the guy chirps a lot.
That's a play. Yeah.
That was a play. That was a play. That was a roll your eyes moment play. But I think that's how the running back situation is going to look right now. Is Benny's going to get a lot of touches in the first preseason game. And then Anthony McFarland is also going to get a lot of opportunities to make things happen. If he does make things happen, the Jaylen Warren conversation is already out the window, which I hope that Jaylen Warren doesn't play himself out of Pittsburgh. Like I hope he plays well enough that you want to keep him, but not well enough that you have to remove him or that somebody takes him from your practice squad. That's what I hope happens, because I think Anthony McFarland was a valuable 4th-round pick 2 years ago, and I don't think that's going to change. Like I think there was something there, and that something there I don't think has gone away. That's my views on that one. Besides that, it was a very uneventful day at Pittsburgh Steelers training camp. I got rained on again. Mike Tomlin made fun of Mark Caboli. That was always fun.
Caboli's a character, man. I love him.
Oh, yeah. Love Mark Caboli. I will say this, and I'm not going to mention names. I will not put a name out there. But I'm standing on the sideline, and Mason Rudolph throws a check down to somebody, and it's like a 4-yard gain. I think it's like double coverage. There was no need for that. Somebody else is wide open, 7 yards behind where this check down is. Like you could see him, like standing behind him. I'm open. And he throws the check down. And as this guy's walking off the field, he goes, what the F is he even looking at? Talking about Mason Rudolph. And that was the first time I was like, whoa, like maybe I'm not the only one that sees this. Maybe other people, players are starting to see like, what are we doing with this guy? Because he doesn't want to throw the football more than 4 yards. And that's not how you win football games.
Yeah, I would like to think maybe that's just a heat of the moment kind of thing. But I mean, he said what he said. So
yeah, but heat of the moment thing's fine. Like I get that, but if it's nobody, the heat of the moment thing's not direct. And I will say this, like it wasn't a name, like it wasn't anybody that you were like, oh, this guy, it would have shocked you. It would shock you. And I'll tell you off the air, but it would shock you knowing who it was, because you'd be like, wow, that guy's a sweetheart. What is going on right now? That's what surprised me.
It was Cam Hayward.
Cam Hayward would say that, though. He would say that right to his face. But like it wasn't a Chase Claypool. It wasn't those guys. Like it was somebody who doesn't really hold a ton of ground on this team yet. And I would never guess would say something like that. At least not loud enough that like it was meant to be heard. And in my head, I was just like, well, I told you so. Like, it was right in the notepad. I don't have many notes from today. That was the one. It was just like, oh, well, okay.
Question: Did you wear it? Is that a pullover right now?
Yeah, it is a pullover. I had to. I'm
did
all
you wear that
sunburned.
at practice?
Yes, I did.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was about to say you got the pink popped collar like Cameron, Killer Cam.
Killer Cam. I was not Gunner. Just so it was not Gunner. I won't tell you who it is, but I will say it wasn't Gunner. Yeah, no, I'm sunburned. Like I don't know if you could see, you can't see my neck, but if I took my shirt off, like the line of tan that goes around here is crispy. It's like a burnt piece of bacon. It is so bad, actually, like so bad. So I had to cover all up. It was humid as all hell out there.
For the All Steelers Talk Only fans.
We should create it, and I have a picture. I had to take a picture because it was, what time did we get done recording last night? 11:30. It had to be like 1:30, 2 in the morning. I finally showered and like got ready for bed, and I took my shirt off and I was like, oh my gosh, what did you do today? And then I got in the shower. You know, when you get sunburned and you get in the shower and it's just like instant pain everywhere. You're like, oh my God. I actually yelled, like woke my fiance up. I felt terrible. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. So today we decided to cover up and just sweat it out, and we're rocking with it.
Smart.
We're rocking with it. All right. Well, boring day at camp, but that's okay. We got plenty more. Tomorrow is Friday Night Lights. Me and Derek are going to be going live before Friday Night Lights to break down what we expect to happen there, a little bit more headlines. And he's been here all week, so we'll discuss what he has seen at Steelers camp. Hold up, time out. I wish I knew this last night, but I will know it now because I get sunburnt. I rarely get sunburned, but when I get sunburned, it's bad. So shout out Menace on the sticks. I appreciate that. All right. But as I was saying, me and Derek will be back tomorrow before Friday Night Lights. Anybody who is going to Friday Night Lights, make sure that you hit me up on Twitter and say, hey, I'm going to be there. I would love to meet as many of you guys as possible. Also, me and Donnie might have a giveaway to do next week. So make sure that you keep your eyes peeled for that one. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk, and find us anywhere you get your podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy your night. Peace.